and welcome to another episode of Spoiled with me, Enosh Fee, and my lovely wife,
Tiffanie.
And we are a movie-going family. We love
Very much so.
We love going to the movies, and we get out anytime we have a chance to. And
all kinds. We don't discriminate. Cartoons, movies, adult, children.
That's right. Pretty much everything. So we figured, you know what? We like movies so much, and we're constantly talking to our friends about movies that we've seen or we're gonna see, and people come to us and they're like, hey, did you guys see that movie? And we're like, yeah. And then we sit there and talk about it for like an hour and a half. And so we figured, you know what? We're going to start talking about movies that we see and share that with you. And so
this could be TV movies. This could be DVDs. This could be anything in the theater right now.
That's right.
Coming out in the theater.
Our first episode, we reviewed Sharknado 3.
Oh, heck no.
Yeah.
For those viewers that may be children.
But today, and of course the name of the show is Spoiled, because this will be a spoilerific review. And just so that you know, if you don't want to know anything about the movie Sinister 2,
beginning, middle, or end,
then you might want to turn off now, go see the movie, and then come back.
Or you can just watch the video and go la 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 la.
What was that again?
La, 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 la.
All right. So we're going to get right into it. We're going to review Sinister 2. Now, Tiffany, what did you think of Sinister 1?
Sinister 1 was good. It had some jump factors. It had a good storyline to kind of set a baseline for it, but I personally did not think it was as scary, and I kind of left the theater thinking, that's it?
Yeah, well, it kind of ended in a cheesy kind of way. It was really dark.
It left more questions, but it wasn't like the Paranormal franchise where you knew you were getting answers. We didn't know if we were getting a second movie at that point, and it just kind of left questions like, drop the microphone, I'm done. I didn't know what to think. I sat there replaying it over in my head for about 5 minutes wondering what I just saw.
Yeah, so for those of you who don't know, Sinister centers around a character named Bagul. Bagul, who is a demon of sorts, and they kind of
say he's actually in all different backgrounds.
Yeah, they kind of
different history.
They kind of refer to him as the classic boogeyman. So, like when you hear stories about the boogeyman throughout time, that has been this character that he goes after the kids. And
his face, when they show it, kind of looks like a mixture between the bad guy in Saw mixed with the way that they sewed Reynolds' mouth shut when he played the bad Deadpool.
In Wolverine Origins.
So put those two together, and that's what his face looks like.
Yeah, so he's kind of a weird-looking character, and it's a supernatural character, so, he doesn't really get seen a lot. But basically, he shows up in different pieces of art and different things. So, like, when characters are looking at pictures or video, like, he pops out. And
someone looks to the left and he goes up forward in the screen.
Yeah, and they kind of see him out of the corner of their eye.
We see him, but he doesn't.
Yeah, so the first movie, it had some scares, like you said, but a lot of them were just kind of...
The picture in the forest.
Yeah, it was kind of like jump scares, and the story, it didn't really get into the story, really, of Bagul and, like, where he came from or what he was doing or even how he did it. The only thing that you saw was there were these home movies. They were kind of shot on 8mm, and
anytime there was a murder, it was always done by the kid to the family, and it was always taped.
Yep, it was videoed and put in this kind of lockbox,
chest in the attic.
Yeah, kind of like these old canister films, like for those of you who are like over 35 years old and you remember back in school where they'd bring the projector out and
feed it through, and you'd have to watch it that way.
And so the kills would be documented there, and there would always be a kid missing out of the family. But they didn't really get into any of that in the first movie. It just kind of happened. The first movie starred Ethan Hawke, and that was just kind of it. So and then
it also showed at the end of that one that when they showed the kid that did the murder, then it showed him walking into the screen with Bagul and the other children at that point.
Yeah,
that's
and there was
why
like
it
all
left
these
me
other
with more
kids.
questions.
There's all these other kids with him. It was just kind of creepy, eerie. And then at the very end, Bagul jumps out, and like from the side, like so it was like this. It was like, ah! Right. And so
Cheesy.
It was cheesy, but hey, was what it
One
was.
last one in there before the credits roll.
So, one last jump scare before the credits. So with Sinister 2, I didn't really have a lot of preconceived notions about what it was going to be. I thought, it's
Just hoping that answer a little more.
yeah.
The
first one was okay. It wasn't great, but it wasn't horrible. So, so we figured we'd go see this, and so last night we went to go see Sinister 2. And first of all, I'll just say I liked this movie a whole lot better than I did the first one.
Yes,
like
me
this
too.
one actually was really good. A lot of story elements in this movie. Instead of just, there were jump scares too, because you got to have.
Have to.
It's a scary movie, so you got to have stuff like
How
that.
is you gonna show
Bagoon. But there was some more of his story kind of fleshed out. One of the things that's kind of creepy about the Sinister movies is Bagul never talks. He never says anything.
Which I think makes it creepier in that aspect, because he just touches you and looks at you and you're creeped out.
Yeah,
There's no talking.
Kind of like
him.
a Jason thing, where like
You just know.
but he doesn't do the killing.
Nope.
And
He makes the children do it.
Yeah, and so it's really kind of creepy that way. So this movie starts off where you have a character from the first movie who was a deputy. Who is kind of doing some research on trying to find out, because usually when these murders happen, it's in a house. It's centered in a house with a family
of at least 2 kids.
Yeah, and then family gets murdered, and like I said, one of the kids disappears. So in this movie, it starts off, he is trying to track down houses where that has happened, because
Previous murders, and to find out maybe a little bit of maybe how to stop this, because he knows it's a paranormal, it's not of this world. So how do you stop something that's not of this world?
Yeah, and Bagul kind of leaves these markings on the house or whatever, and so
Which looks like a messed up version of like the Mandalorian symbol.
yeah,
It's
from
like an
Star
upside
Wars.
down
It's kind of weird. But so that's where he kind of identifies it, and then he tries to burn down that house so that it cannot happen again, because it's kind of house centered. And usually what happens is that Bagul, what came out in the movie was that Bagul lures the kids in by using the other kids. So the other kids who have done this, supernaturally they come to the kids
in dreams, in person.
Yep, and they
Like they're a friend.
and they show the kid their home movie.
This is mine.
Yeah,
Which creeps you out just when they show that.
Yeah, of like, this is how, and they kind of force the kid to watch this, murder film, and until
Maybe to give him ideas on how he's going to do his.
yeah, and so and then it
Some
kind of
weird way.
until it finally crescendos with, well, you have to make yours now, and but
This one actually showcased a little bit of the one kid that was struggling with it. I guess you call the lead creepy kid, was telling him that, your nightmares, you're not sleeping, the weird feelings you're having, that'll all stop if you finish watching all these movies. So it was almost like the creepy kids were under a time frame where they're just like, come on, let's watch the movies, let's watch the next one. So that was kind of what's going on with this. That kind of left a question open.
But the idea is that if the family tries to leave the house, like if they are to find out what's going on, that if they try to leave the house, that's when
It happens.
That's when it happens. That's when Bagul is able to
The kids
finish
even
him
made
off.
mention in this movie to that, saying that to the other, like another child that may have overheard or saw a movie he was watching, he'd say, if you tell anybody about this, we'll take care of you and your family, or you'll watch it and then we'll take care of you.
So some of the stuff is kind of creepy, especially the home movies.
Because they go from watching the family having fun and having a picnic to now they're being electrocuted, or however they ended up dying.
Or like one had the kid hanging up his family upside down and being eaten by crocodiles. That was pretty
hard to watch.
Weird. Yeah, there's a couple.
Not
there's
so bad
there's a
as
couple
Saw,
other.
but still makes your stomach feel a little.
Yeah, I don't really like stuff like that. I mean, I like a movie that kind of scares me and makes me feel creeped out a little bit.
Like Freddy.
But I don't
You can
like.
be funny about it. Too.
Yeah, I don't go for the gore stuff. I don't like any of the Saw movies. to me, it's just kind of pointless.
And paranormal is always fun because it's the fear of the unknown, or you don't necessarily see it, so
Yeah,
it's not creeping you
there's
out
people
that
who
way
don't
or
like-
grossing you out.
There's people who don't like the paranormal activity movies. I like the paranormal activity movies just because,
Simplicity, even.
yeah, like I kind of see an overall plan. I understand some people don't like them because they feel that it just kind of goes on and there's nothing happening. But this movie, there was a lot of stuff happening. Like I said, the deputy from the first one, he's trying to track down these houses. He comes upon a woman with 2 kids who's on the run from her husband, who's an abusive father.
He's also in a kind of creepy in a weird way, too.
Yeah.
With the way that he, like, beat his son, that's why she left. And so...
Yeah, and so that's kind of where we find him. And
but
then...
the cop also, or the former deputy, also met up with this guy that was on, like a professor, and he found some information and some history in the background of the ghoul, but it also tied in weirdly to this ham radio that he found.
Yeah.
That also returned at the end of the movie as well.
Yeah, so the guy goes off, and when he goes off, the family, he tells the mother not to leave the house. Just trust him.
That would expedite the process.
Yes, and she does not know about the ghoul. She doesn't know what's going on. And this whole time, her son is being coerced by these kids. And
She's got 2 boys, and
but
one
her
of them.
second son knows what's going on, has seen the kids, has seen the whole thing, but they keep telling him that he was not good enough. He's not as good as his brother.
You're not the chosen one.
He's not the chosen one by Bagul, which actually makes the second son very upset and abusive towards his brother. He beats up his brother, and
I'm better than you. Why didn't they choose me?
Yeah, and so gets him very mad. So in the end, the boy who you think is being courted to do this horrible deed rejects it and says, "No, I'm not doing this anymore. I'm not watching these films."
Which made the creepier kids become even creepier because he said no. So that was also part of the
and then it's revealed that really they weren't going after the good kid. They were going after the other one by making him angry and mad and want to kill his family.
Saying you served the purpose that we needed you to.
Yeah, and so what it comes down to is that kid ends up putting his little brother, his mother, and
his abusive
father, who ends up doing some schemy little things and getting the family back together, even though they don't want to be. And he puts them out in a cornfield. It's kind of like a la Children of the Corn, a little bit. Puts them up on these crosses, kind of like they're scarecrows, and
puts one of those like burlap bags or
something over
their
face. He's gonna burn them.
Because any murder that's done on these things, half of them, if it's something like the alligators or this one when they're in the cornfield, they cover it so you don't see the faces during the death. But like the one with the electrocution, that one. You didn't really see their faces on the video, but they weren't covered. Yeah. Half the time, though, they are covered. Like, even the very first movie had a hanging, and their faces were covered. So they try to have some kind of semblance to not show.
Yeah, so in the end, the deputy guy, who is now a private eye, he ends up finding them at the last minute.
But not before the first son kills the dad, because he had like lighter fluid all the way up towards the cross.
Which was actually kind of funny, because you really end up hating that dad for his abusiveness to the family. So I thought it was funny how they killed him off. And it was kind of...
They didn't get to the other two
like,
yet.
you didn't want him to kill the mom and the other son, but like when he killed the dad first, you were kind of like...
okay with it.
Yeah, like...
because he was that bad.
All right, well, we can deal with that. And so... So he comes in, he ends up driving his truck through the cornfield and hitting the kid with the camera, because the kid's filming it as the dad's burning, and he's getting ready to light the other kid on fire, and he hits the kid with a car.
But it doesn't affect him.
But it's classic scary movie logic. You
just got hit with a Dodge Ram.
You hit a 10-year. You hit a 10-year-old. I mean, it took him out for a minute, right? Yeah, because you get hit with a.
But is the camera okay?
Yeah, is the camera okay? Exactly. So they the guy ends up cutting the other two down, and the kid comes after him through the cornfield with a sickle, and
because that's normal,
and attacks the guy. And as a guitar player, let me tell you, it's the worst fear ever. He cuts the guy's hand like right here.
2 fingers off.
So he's got this little thing going on right here,
But then without a blood trail, how are you supposed to find them in the house when you're trying to find them?
So they end up going through, and the one part I thought was kind of cool, you see a lot of supernatural movies where stuff flies all around and stuff, you don't see that stuff going on. What I thought was cool about this is that it showed the kids, the creepy kids, the spiritual kids, like trash in the house.
It's a lot of back and
throwing
forth,
stuff.
though. You'd see the kids, like, opening and closing the shower curtain, but then they'd go to the scene where the mom was seeing it, and she didn't see the kids, but she saw the shower curtain moving back and forth, so it was kind of cool going back and forth.
Books flying off the shelves, desks getting thrown, and all this stuff. But then you'd see the kids doing it, and then you'd see the real life part.
From the kid's point of view, and then you'd see from the mom's point of view, because she didn't see the kids.
Yeah, so that was kind of cool. And then in the end, they end up breaking the camera so that Bagul cannot win. And the kids make an interesting comment, and they say, now you've done it, we can't come back. We can never come back. We can never come back.
And he's going to be mad at you.
Yep.
Or he's going to be mad now because you didn't finish. Bagul is going to be mad
because you didn't finish your video. So then pretty much the Bagul shows up, touches the bad kid on the shoulder.
Puts him on the shoulder like he did something, like a dad who's done something wrong.
Yeah, and he kind of decays, and then they all just kind of disappear. And
as the family's coming into that room, the screen that the projector would show the movies on starts on fire, and the mom realizes that son is gone. And then so now at this point, the private eye is like, we gotta go, or we're gonna be swallowed up in this fire. So
yeah. Now, here's a couple of things. And this always comes up with scary movies for me, and that is, because earlier in the movie it was established that there was a custody battle. Yeah. It was established that the
But it's because the dad beat the son.
Was a jerk, was an absolute jerk. Beat the family.
He knew everybody in the city, so
but he had money.
The cops in his pocket.
Yeah, he had money, he had cops in his pocket, he had the sheriffs in his pocket. Okay, so here's the thing. Aftermath of a scary movie, right?
That still wasn't the end that they showed, though.
Yeah, well, they didn't show any of what actually.
They showed the cop going back into his hotel room, grabbing all.
Well, yeah, they did. So they didn't show the end of what happened because the cop goes back into the former cop, the former deputy, goes into his hotel room. He's packing up a bunch of stuff, and he's going to be leaving with the family, and they're going to get out of there. And then that ham radio that you were talking about just shows up in his room
out of nowhere,
and it's.
It starts chanting, "It's all about the kids." It's all up, and then of course Bagul jumps out again.
And then Bagul does this again, and then the movie's done. So, but here's the thing: scary movies, right? So you got this guy who everybody in town knows he's a jerk. He beats the family. He's got money. He's tried to pay off cops and do all this stuff like that. You come upon this scene where he's been burnt alive on a cross in the middle of a cornfield.
There's no questions?
Nobody questions that. Like,
there's just a crispy dude in a cornfield.
And if you talk to the deputy guy, he's got his hand cut off halfway, and like nobody's gonna suspect that the mom did it. Like the other kid's missing too, right? So how do you explain that? It was Bagul. It was the boogeyman. The boogeyman did it. So, anyways,
what I mean, though, it left more questions, and of course you have the deputy that made it again, so if they have a third one, he is now a part of the third one. He knows a lot more information. We don't know if the ham radio, because it did give coordinates to one house, because it seems to go on when it wants to. It's not one of those, hey, let's figure out breaker, 1-9er, is Bagul there? No, it's actually, it shows up, and it speaks when it wants to. When he met with the professor, it actually said something, because the first one took place in like Norway or Sweden or something.
Yeah.
And it was in another language, but he found out what they were saying, because back then they didn't have video cameras, so apparently the murder was done on the radio.
Yeah.
When you had radio shows. So it went back that far.
So here's the thing. I don't believe for a second what the kids said about now we can't come back, because there's going to be a Sinister 3. Or should I say 3?
Yeah, that's the way his hand
Sinister. That'd be funny if the promo artwork for Sinister 3 is the guy's hand. Like, I got 3. So I guess
he says that we can never come back, but yet Bagul, even though he didn't do his video, Bagul still took him and still.
But that was only like 5 kids, and there's been a lot more murders than that, obviously, throughout history.
They just picked those 5 kids for that movie.
So I guess when it comes down to it, I liked the movie. I thought it was entertaining.
It was better than the first.
For a scary movie, it had some good jump scares, but then it also had those creepy scares that kind of put you off a little bit. It wasn't perfect. Yeah, it wasn't perfect because it still had some of that cheesiness. The thing at the end again with Bagul,
like we were actually waiting for it.
Yeah,
so.
we were waiting for it. So all in all, I guess on a scale of 1 to 5, I'd probably give it a 3.75.
I was gonna say about a 4. Like it's not quite midway yet, but if you want to watch them, you kind of still gotta watch both. But it's not gonna scare you like Freddy did back in the day or Jason.
Well, at least the
or
first
anything,
two movies, anyways. Until he started getting funny and telling jokes. I mean, that's what I'm looking for is Bagul to start telling jokes.
Like they did in the Scary Movie when they make fun of movies when he's going in the computer.
Yeah, exactly. So anyway, so that's our review of Sinister 2. If you like it or you have some comments of your own about Sinister 2.
Or what you think may happen or will happen or this is why it happened.
Yeah, what are your theories on where they could go with a Sinister 3? Why the stuff happened that happened in Sinister 2? Leave those in the comment section. All right. Share the video, like the video, and we'll see you next time.
Next movie.
And it'll probably be soon because we go to a lot of movies. Yeah. We'll see you next time on Spoiled.